The 2011 FIA World Touring Car Championship makes a brand new stop. Round 7 and 8 are just outside the beautiful city of Budapest in Hungary. 12 kilometres from the centre of the Hungarian capital is the first ever Grand Prix track in Eastern Europe, the Hungaroring. 20 years ago it was a landmark and one of the major signs that the former status of East and West may have been changing. And for the World Touring Car Championship, it is a first ever appearance at the venue. And what a welcome it has been. You will see as the cars are on the grid just how busy this track is. It is absolutely heaving and the roads are still packed with metal as people try to get in. The motorway, the M3 leading out of town, is blocked. Look in the background there. 2-lane road leads up to the circuit. It is wall-to-wall cars. It's 45 degrees here on track. Nearly 30 degrees of air temperature. It's a bright sunny Sunday, and despite the fact that the races are on nice and early to clear the airwaves for the men's final at Roland Garros of the French Open, it is the first appearance of the World Touring Car Championship here, and the fans have come out in their tens of thousands. It's anticipated possibly there might be as many as 100,000 fans here. Whether or not that is the case, one of the reasons for their appearance is the man there with a little green arrow by his name, Norbert Michelis, Hungarian driver, and he, his team and his sponsors have become major stars here. There are 25 camera crews from Hungary alone covering this event this weekend, as well as Eurosport's HD. And in the grandstands you can see the fans showing their support for their man. Massive support here for their man, with loads of posters, and as you can see they're holding them all up, red, white and green, the colours of Hungary's national flag. Well, it's not all about the Hungarian driver, although he's had a great start to the weekend. We've also got to look here at Rob Huff. I'm delighted to be joined by Vauxhall and Chevrolet driver Harry Volkart. And Harry, Rob, just with his engineer, got it wrong in qualifying. They were trying to get into the bottom of the top 10 in the first session, and their lap time was good enough, but too many people had already been good enough beforehand, and he ended up bumped out of the top 10 into 12th place. He's got a lot of work to do. Yeah, that's right, man. The new qualifying system, which isn't very well liked by most of the grid, it requires you to finish, if you come in the top 10, it basically reverses the top 10. So a lot of the guys are aiming to kind of finish as low down the top 10 in the first part of qualifying as possible. And it just, I guess the devil you dance with in that is that if you don't quite make it in to top 10, you're stuck in 11th or 12th as Rob is. And so it was only a tenth of a second would have made the difference, but just a tiny little error. Well, Rob has got a significant Drivers' Championship lead. Nearly 40 points is the spread between him and his closely fought rivals behind. His two teammates, though, are on the front row of the grid. Ivan Muller and Alain Menu start on row 1 here, with Menu claiming his first pole position since Brands Hatch 2009. Gosh, it really doesn't seem like that long, but I guess to Alain maybe it does. There he is with John Waterman, the race engineer with the white hair, just checking final details, tyre temperatures, tyre pressures, making sure everything is sorted, and of course the aluminium blanket on the top to reject some of the heat of the sun, to try and keep the interior as humanly cool as possible. But it is going to be very hot indeed. Well, qualifying, again, it was this juggling act, trying to be quick but not too quick. You don't want to be the fastest because that'll leave you 10th on the race 1 grid. You want to be close to 10th on the race 2 grid rather. You want to be close to the bottom of the top 10. And then in Q2, it's all about going hell for leather for the top 10 positions on the race 1 grid. And Menu pulled out the best lap, so starts from the most advantageous position here for the first time in a couple of years. And you know, he and Muller, they're both former champions of the British Touring Car Champion. Ivan, of course, a double World Touring Car Champion as well now. So, you know, they're very experienced guys. You expect them to run safely through the first corner, and it's down to Rob Huff to try and catch them. Here's a look at the grid then. Menu and Muller Behind, this might be really significant, the BMW threat for the first time looking really, really cohesive. Javi Villa third, Tom Coronel fourth. Drop off in practice, the BMW drivers were worried quite a lot about. Norbert Mikulis, the young Hungarian, disappointed to be only fifth in this race and sixth in the other. He thought he had a front row car. Robert Dahlgren, sixth position, best qualifying for Volvo ahead of Thiago Monteiro and Christian Poulsen. Again, Poulsen, another BMW driver. Montero with Tarquini, his teammate behind him. They're the best of the Seats, the diesel engine cars. The petrol engine cars, Mikel Nukia, Fabio Oriola and Freddie Bart, they're all together there, 13th, 14th, 15th. They haven't yet produced what the latent talent perhaps of the engine suggests is available. They haven't managed to harness it. They've had too many new car installation problems. Of course, Harry, you know, when you change engines, when you go from something fundamentally different, you're going to end up with problems like that.
Yeah, definitely. It's a big development process with any new part to a car, and especially the engine, probably the most critical piece of the car. And yeah, these guys are struggling a little bit this weekend.
Shimmering in the heat is the grid for round 7 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship. Gabriele Tarquini's friends and fan club are here as ever, but significantly outnumbered by the number of Norbert Mikulis supporters. That is without a doubt. Tarquini starts disappointingly low down the grid, only 9th position, and he is the second best of all the Seat drivers. One row in front of him is Thiago Monteiro, the turbo diesel that for so long ruled the roost in terms of power and performance. Now that the petrol turbo engines are here, is very much in the back seat, isn't it, Harry? They are developing their own petrol turbo engine. The Sunred team have already introduced it into 3 of their 6 cars, but with it comes a weight penalty, and that's possibly the reason that Tarquini and Montero haven't jumped immediately to what seems to be a quicker engine. Yeah,
I think so, and they obviously have the reliability in the turbo diesel. They've run it for several years now, so that must be a big pull for those 2 guys who are definite championship contenders. They want to score as many points as possible at the early points of the season and can't really afford to have any breakdowns.
Well, that's a very valid point as well. You know, it's great being quick, but quick and reliable is really what it's all about. So yeah, they don't want to be throwing points away unnecessarily. You saw Christian Poulsen, again, good qualifying for him. The BMWs have been really strong here. This is a good handling circuit. It's quite technical, but it does mean that some of the longer, quicker corners are going to work the front-wheel drive tyres pretty hard. And there you see Thiago Monteiro starts 7th on the grid. He's the best of the turbo diesel Seats, the best of all the Seats in front, apart from the Chevrolets. He is the best of the front-wheel drive cars as well. So BMW really behind the blue cars on the front row. There's a big wedge of them rammed in there, and they are looking, again, very competitive here.
The BMW seem to have taken a big step forward. Perhaps it's a circuit layout, perhaps it's a temperature. They've certainly come a bit, they seem a bit closer to the Chevrolet this weekend, and it'll be interesting to see during the race, because I suspect that the Chevrolets have been very quick in qualifying compared to their race pace, and I think we'll see the same from all the front-wheel drives.
Well, I think what you're saying about BMW is probably borne out by the presence of Robert Dahlgren here as well. You know, in terms of outright top speed and air-cheating low drag, this C30 hatchback is not a great shape on the long straight at Monza, but it handles well now, and this is a good circuit. As you said yesterday in qualifying, actually, I think it's like the sort of circuits they race on in Scandinavia. Quite turny, quite twisty, not major high-speed stuff. Well, look at Norbert Mikulis trying to focus and just put all of the dramas around him behind him. He spent a fortnight coming up to this race almost doing, well, again, listen, almost doing nothing but TV and media interviews. Apparently when he came here on Thursday he could barely speak anymore because he'd done so much talking. But as a result, look at this, you know, there's getting on for 100,000 people in here. This is an absolutely massive, massive crowd, and they are all here on the back of him. Having a driver in a championship makes such a difference to how it's perceived in a nation.
I don't think I've ever seen a crowd like this at a motorsport race before. Just absolutely nuts.
Well, partly it's having a local hero, partly it's the fact, as we said earlier, that the tickets are free entry here, and to get in, to get a VIP pass to go into the paddock and wander around is the equivalent of a £5. So it is well within everybody's reach. And also, you know, he's competitive. He was at the back of the grid, it might be different, but he's not. He's competitive. He's at the sharp end of the grid. He's in there swinging with the world champions and the former, you know, national champions there. And you know, he starts in 5th place. In front of him, 2 more BMWs again, so it's not just one team, it's not just one BMW driver that's got hooked up. You've got 3 cars from 3 completely different teams, 3 drivers with very different backgrounds, all within a few hundreds of each other. Tom Coronel, this young Spanish guy, Javi Villa, again, first year in touring cars, came out of GP2 where he raced for the last 2 or 3 seasons. Race winner in GP2, 500 horsepower rear-wheel drive single-seaters. Slightly more progressive power delivery, I imagine, than this turbo BMW, but he's made a good transition. You know, second row here, he's really got a good chance of a podium for the first time.
Yeah, he's driven really well the last few races, and he certainly seems to have sprung a bit of a surprise here.
And our world champion is on the front row of the grid. Ivan Muller and Alain Menu both have trailed in terms of points, results, and possibly arguably good fortune as well behind their teammate Rob Huff. And they are, you know, about a 40-point gap. There's very little between the two of them there. You know, nominally, I suppose, 40 points behind, but it's a 50-point race weekend. You know, Rob Huff last time out in Monza won both races, so only the 3rd man in touring car history to do so. And you know, that gives you a big boost no matter what your teammates do, whether they finish well or poorly. If you get maximum points both times out, you know, that's an enormous achievement. So these guys now must capitalise just to stop Rob getting too far away. Yeah,
they have to score as many points as possible to kind of keep that gap from growing. What else is interesting is what the Chevrolets are obviously all carrying 40 kilos, where the BMs have gone up a little bit, but it didn't cross my mind during qualifying, but obviously the Volvo is minus 20 kilos, so that could also help explain a little bit why it's jumped up in performance.
Well, that's very true, and that will help that, you know, 60 kilos lighter. If the Volvo can get down to that minimum weight, I mean, and that's all part of the equation as well. I know the Seats can't get down to their minimum weight. The car is still heavier than actually legally it has to be. All of the weight you carry is all weight that's working the tyres in the corner, that you've got to brake, that you've got to accelerate back out of the corners. And so, yeah, the heavier the car is, I mean, like a road car, if you think of something like a Mini, light, nippy and nimble, think of something like, I don't know, Rolls-Royce, it's not going to corner in the same way. It's got 2.5 tons to try and get round the corner compared to the 0.5 ton of the Mini, so it's never going to be the same. So, yeah, having more weight, 60 kilos doesn't sound like a lot, but it is like having a decent-sized passenger beside you, and nobody's going to suggest that as a good performance addition.
No, a lot of, I've heard it said before quite a lot of times, that you can pretty much equate 10 kilos to about 1/10 of a second, so, you know, half a second that's night and day around a race circuit.
Yeah. Absolutely, and on a track like this where there are a lot of corners, it's probably, you know, a greater part of the percentage as well. Well, we are ready to roll off then. Menu has moved, or Muller has as well, but didn't look like he was quite ready in the crowd. Appreciating the fact that Norbert Michaelis has now left the grid. Every single move that car makes all weekend has been to a cheer of approval from this massive crowd to get in to see them. Final couple of corners behind the safety car. The Zengo team that runs local hero Norbert Michaelis here are looking as apprehensive as you could probably imagine they might. He will start in 5th position, but behind our pacing car, Alain Menu on the left, Ivan Muller on the right for Chevrolet, 1st and 2nd on the grid. This is, just saw a quick onboard view from Norbert Michaelis. We hear that there may be a problem on Norbert Michaelis's car. Not quite sure what that might be. The team looking a little worried. And it would be a real disaster for him if this was all to go wrong for mechanical problems. Last couple of corners. There's the team boss. He's looking okay at the moment, though. The safety car pulls off with the red flag of Switzerland on his roof. is Alemeniu as he comes onto the straight on driver's right. He is on pole, pacing the field as they wait for the lights to go green. Long hold, very long hold, away they go. Very quick start from Christian Poulsen on the outside. Where are the BMWs going to come through? Menu guarding the inside line. He's almost on the white line. Javi Villa still trying to come down the inside. So is Norbert Michaelis, and the Chevrolet staying noticeably away from each other into turn one. Muller's on the outside, gets a little tap behind. Coronel goes off. So too does Villa. So too does Christian Poulsen. And Michaelis is battling for second place with a Seat with Gabriele Tarquini, the world's fastest starter. Norbert Michaelis. And here the crowd on their feet into second place. What a great start for the Hungarian. And where did Tarquini come from? He was in 9th place on the grid. That's another staggering start for Tarquini. And look at that, Muller and Huff together, and off in the background is Dahlgren's Volvo, avoids the gravel trap. Menu leads, Michaelis in second, Tarquini in third, everyone else in fourth. Wow, what a start.
That was an amazing start by Michaelis as well, and obviously Menu did really well to cover the inside line down the first corner. I'm sure both Chevrolet seem to kind of have a bit of a plan to hold everyone behind them, seem to work.
Well, Huff and Muller are right together. Timing and score is showing Ivan Muller leading, but patently he's not. That's car number 2. On board with Norbert Michaelis. Did he have a big slide coming off corner 5 up to the back chicane, corner 6 and 7. And there, behind Thiago Monteiro, are Muller and Huff. So that is 7th and 8th already. Great start by Rob Huff. He avoided the dramas. And unfortunately, Ivan Muller, trying to keep the door shut on everybody behind, just got tapped into a spin, or a half spin, a big slide, but he's kept his nose in front. He's on the track, and Darrell Young over the curbs there. Tom Coronel right behind him. That is 8th and 9th place.
Coronel seemed to lose out a little bit there at the start as well.
Darrell going in very deep behind Rob Huff, and he'll be going, no. Don't want to hit that blue thing in front. Different colour, but another Chevrolet driver. Oh, and Monteiro drifts out a little wide. Here comes Muller, and they're going to have to work their way through the field hard here before the tyres go off.
I think Muller's got him now. He's got him at the inside of it.
He has, hasn't he? And a huge crowd as Michaelis is in second place behind Alemeniu. Tarquini in third with Javi Villa shaping up, and Muller's still inside. Little rear shot of the wing there for Thiago saying, follow me on Twitter. Well, Ivan Muller's not going to follow him, and I don't think Rob Huff will for too long either. And look, he's still there.
He's come back up the inside, I think, hasn't he? Maybe Muller run a little bit wide in the first corner there.
Well, with Huff then, he's going to go down the inside, follow Muller's route. When the door's open, when Ivan's got his foot in that door, here comes Rob as well. So Thiago hung out down the outside as Dahlgren goes down the pit road, but again Thiago cuts back in. This is great cut and thrust racing. Hungaroring boring only for Formula 1 and single-seater cars that demand big aero packages. With these cars where it's a lot about mechanical grip, that's where you get the good racing. And Darrell drifts out very wide in that yellow and orange car, 8th place ahead of Tom Coronel. Darrell Young right behind him, the yellow car of Mikkel Nukia. That's the first of the new petrol turbos, and Dahlgren's getting new tyres, I think. Or has he tweaked the suspension or the steering somewhere? Looks like he's out of contention, but his race 2 grid position is already set. Little damage on the back of Javi Villa's car there as we see him behind Gabriele Tarquini. They are 3rd and 4th. This is going to be all arms and elbows, isn't it? My goodness, what a race.
It'll be interesting to see how the tyres last out on the front wheel drives, and like you say, I think towards the end of the race it's going to be a matter of holding the BMWs behind them rather than necessarily battling with them.
I think that might be the case, and particularly, see now if you're Menu and you've got, he's 1.2 seconds ahead of Michaelis, you've got enough that you can use the racing line, you can be gentle on the tyres, as gentle as you can drive positively. Tarquini though, behind Villa, is having to drive defensively to stop the BMW coming up the inside at every corner, and Harry, that's got to be doing more hard work on the tyres.
Yeah, any movement which isn't necessary, any time you have to tighten the line or try and brake a little bit later, that's all taking energy out of the tyres, and that will be critical towards the end of the race, I think.
Well, there are 3 races going on here. There's Alemeniu in his race. For the Hungarian fans, there's the car in second place, Norbert Michaelis, and then for the rest of them, it's 3rd, 4th, and all the other battles going on down the order.
Michaelis just at the fastest lap of the race there as well, so he is closing in on Menu, only by a 10th, but
good enough. It's enough to make sure that the Chevrolet doesn't escape. What he will want to do is start putting a bit of pressure on, because if he allows Menu to drive his own race, then Menu's not going to overwork the tyres as much as if Norbert is really pushing him. It depends really quite what a car he feels he's got under him. But behind, Tarquini, Villa, Muller, Huff, Monteiro, Finally, Huff has gone by him and Muller's gone by him, and Young in 8th place. Well, let's look at the start again. That's Christian Poulsen on the outside in the white BMW. On the left, Javi Veer coming down the inside. Watch Norbert Michaelis, easy to spot, black and orange. It all just opens up in front of him. The 4 cars that were in front drift out wide in the first corner. This is Muller, tapped sideways by Coronel.
Yeah, Coronel definitely got into the back of him.
Well, that's Norbert getting into the back of Veer, so that's where Veer's bumper went, and Coronel in the middle there, and Veer was drifting out wide anyway. He just lost a little bit of grip, straight off, and actually he didn't really help Coronel or Muller either there.
No. It's such a tight corner, that first corner, that I guess this was always going to happen.
Oh, and that's Dahlgren, got into the side of Alexei Dudicalo, or vice versa, in that Lukoil Seat, the second of the Lukoil Seats.
It's quite a big whack that as well. I would imagine that probably won't be out before the start of the next race.
No, well, what they need to do, in fact, they are working on it in the pit road, which you can do during the race, and then when the race finishes, you've got to put it into parc fermé or surrender your grid position. And again, in the top 10 for race 2, you do not want to be doing that. Dahlgren should start in 9th place, which is much better than 26th. Gabriele Tarquini's fans still cheering him on.
Gabriele looks like he's slowing everyone down a little bit. It looks like he's certainly dropping off the back of Michelitz, and seems to be backing the rest of the pack up. So I think we're going to see a battle for the lead here between obviously Menu and Michelitz, and Michelitz again set another fastest lap, almost 4/10 of a lap faster than Menu on that last lap.
Well, now we talked about this in the morning warm-up, didn't we? How yesterday in free practice the drivers were saying even on the BMW, which should be kinder to the tyres, in 4 laps you'd lose a second of performance. That's how the tyres were being worked here, and Muller and Huff at it. Huff trying to go around the Frenchman for 5th position. Oh, and he's looking on the inside. Oh, avoid a Monza problem here, boys. You both need to score, and Rob Huff will have that ultimate priority in front of him. He wants to take every position he can. It's like Andy Priaulx always said, you don't want to leave the dinner in Macau at the end of the year knowing that 1 point here was what stopped you winning the World Championship wherever you are, so you've got to make sure of that. But you've got to finish as well, and when it's your teammate, it's double jeopardy, because you don't just have you off, you have him off as well, and that's bad for the team. But we talked about this morning, and getting back to the point about the tyre wear, in free practice, when you can go in and talk to the engineers and change things, you will, and you'll try and engineer the car to make it better. But in the race, you'll get on with it, and it may well be that the tyre degradation is going to be quite high in the BMW. But Michaelis setting fastest lap after fastest lap, took 4/10 out of Menu. The gap went from 1.1 to 0.69 on the last lap. I doubt it's half a second now. Look at it.
He's taken a 10th in the first sector, 2/10 in the second sector. He's right with him now.
Yeah, look at that, from 1.2 to 1.1, and now 7/10 of a second, and he is going quicker and quicker. And this is absolutely what he has to do. Now he's got in his head the fact that he needs to push and push and push. Menu's not going to give this away. But I tell you what, if Nigel Mansell reckons that crowd power was worth 2 seconds a lap at Silverstone, what's it doing for Norbert Michaelis now?
It's definitely working here.
Do you think he can actually hear the crowd? He probably can't, but I bet he can darn well see those flags. Behind, Javi Veer's just dropped a bit of bumper lip. Yeah, me too. Goose flesh on your arms there from the team boss. Me too. It's the same thing above that crowd.
I wonder how much, whether Alain maybe seen that there's a big gap behind Michelitz and knows that he doesn't need to pull away too hard now, and he might be trying to save his tyres a little bit.
Oh, here comes Veer. He's got a good run on Tarquini. Down the hill into corner 3. Tarquini has the inside line, but Veer now, like Michelitz, is starting to exert some real pressure, and it looks as though he's got an advantage, and he needs to get on with it, because look who's behind. Muller and Huff, and they're coming.
Villa looks, he's really looking pretty racy now behind Tarquini. I'm pretty sure it's a matter of time before he does make that move. Is that Darrell Young and Tom Coronel? They're still at it.
Yeah, still hard at it. Coronel just about making contact with the back of Darrell Young. Oh, it wasn't just about. We caught the end of that, didn't we? But yeah, Coronel had his nose inside, trying to pick up the place, just couldn't quite manage it. But again, Veer, like Michaelis, really piling push. Now, and you know, Norbert is looking in the mirrors and there's nothing there. Veer can see every time he checks, that flipping Chevrolet is just a little closer. He knows he's got to get on with the programme, get by Gabriele, leave Gabriele to hold the Chevys up, and then Javi can try and escape. You know, he knows it's for 3rd. The team will be telling him everything that's going. Marco will be telling him how much, you know, the Chevys are coming and how quick Michaelis is able to go in clear air. And look at the difference. Mikulec on his own behind Menu is a second a lap quicker than Via can go, held up by Tarquini. So Via's got to get on with it.
Looking at the times, you can see everybody's dropped off. It actually looks like Mikulec is the only guy who seems to be still really right in there at the time, although he must have made a bit of a mistake that lap. It was dropped down to 59.
Yeah, he was a 157 last lap, 159.3 this lap, and in fact that's given Alain Menu a bit of breathing space. He's opened up the gap first to second, but we're looking at the battle for third. Red and white car of Tarquini ahead of Javi Villa and Huff and Muller. Again, Muller was defending hard against Huff, as Young does against Coronel for 8th and 9th. Just in front of them, Thiago Montero. And again, Muller locking up. Huff is attacking hard. Doesn't seem to be a lot going on, but there definitely is, as Young holds on again from Coronel. Well, this battle continues. Daryl Young, rear bumper flapping. Tom Coronel right behind him, and again the BMW is definitely looking quicker than that Chevrolet, and of course that is the same Chevrolet crew, same engine, same gearbox, same basic setup that the blue factory cars have got. So Bamboo Engineering have got a quick car, but Coronel with a big lock-up on the inside. But look at the traction advantage he's got coming up from the run up to corner 5 through the chicane. Again, now it's all 4 cars together. This is 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, and Muller is right in front of Rob Huff. And Huff really in this queue is probably in, well, actually Tarquini is obviously because he's 3rd and holding them up, but Huff in the best position to attack because he's got nothing in the mirrors. He can look for the gaps to open up in front. Yeah, and he can preserve his tyres as well. He can, it's up to him whether he takes a lunge up the inside, but if he does it, then everybody else has to react to that and defend. And not only is he doesn't have anyone behind him, the guys in front of him obviously defending and attacking at the same time. Right, drive-through penalty for Daryl O'Young, number 9, 17 Mikkel Nukia, and 25, which is Mehdi Banani, for missing the apex of turn 4, by which they don't mean missing, by which they mean cutting inside the apex of turn 4. I have to say, in qualifying, that's understandable because you can gain an advantage. When you're racing somebody and you're defending hammer and tongs against somebody that's, rubbing up the side of you, rubbing into the back of you, I'm afraid that is a rubbish penalty. Giving somebody a drive-through for trying to hold on to a race position. It's not jumping a chicane at Monza, going straight through and coming out 50 metres further up the road. No. This is absolutely knife fighting, close racing, and the stewards have got to stop ruining races with stupid decisions. It certainly seems very, very harsh. We were talking about it this morning, saying I wonder what the situation would be if anyone does go through it, but I haven't seen Tom Coronel be penalised, and he's hit numerous people already, and maybe a little mistake on the brakes by Daryl, but like you say, a drive-through seems pretty harsh. Yeah, I mean, when he and Coronel have collided and Daryl's been edged off the circuit, then through the pit lane has gone Mehdi Banani. He's taken his drive-through. There is Rob Huff in 6th position, and from 12th place, maybe he would have hoped to have got a little higher. But certainly, he made good progress through the first corners, and good news for him, his closest championship rival, Ivan Muller, could have been an awful lot further forward in 2nd. Instead, he got edged further back, so he's only a couple of points in front of Huff. So the gap will remain over Muller pretty consistently, although of course Menu, if he does end up winning this, will be a little closer in front. And I'm sure Rob's thinking that as well. He can probably afford to lose a few points to Alain, but certainly with Ivan, he wants to try and stay with him as much as possible. And I wonder if he's thinking now, I'll just hold this position, there's nothing too much behind me to bother me as long as I finish the race where I am. That's a pretty good result from a bad qualifying. Absolutely right. 6 laps down, and after this 5 remaining, so we've just passed the halfway point. Now the question is, have the BMWs got anything left to show the front-wheel drive cars in terms of rear-wheel drive versus front-wheel drive tyre exhaustion? Alain Menu still leads. 2nd place, as you can hear, just going by us, Norbert Mikulec 1.3 seconds behind. Again, the balance is just seesawing a little. Mikulec a couple of tenths quicker that last lap, and here comes the battle for 3rd. Tarquini hiding behind him is Villa, and then Muller and Huff. And again, look, you can see the gap between the BMW there and the first the Chevrolets opened up again on the last lap, and that means that Huff is attacking Muller still, and Muller's defending and not able to attack Tarquini. He's having another look at the inside, well, around the outside now, but unless he can cut back. This is where the BMW is quite strong, especially at this point in the race. It can use the throttle to tighten the car up in the middle of the corner, maybe try and nip up the inside. I think where it will have a big advantage will be coming on the start-finish straight. It's such a long sweeping corner, and probably the best overtaking opportunity on the next corner. Well, Daryl Young has to come in next lap to serve his drive-through penalty. The other two have. Mikko Nuka's just gone through the pit lane, so he's dropped out of 11th place as we watch the battle for third. Gabriele Tarquini here, maybe that the BMW might have a bit of an advantage through these sweepers. Look how close he is there as Tarquini right on that big curb on the inside.
Yeah, he couldn't have left much finer margin on that curb, I don't think.
Great battle for third, and again Muller and Huff starting just to close in a little, but not much progress here in trying to get by Gabriele Tarquini, and the laps are counting down. Leaders are on lap 8 of 12, so only 3 to go, 4 to go after this one. Really can't count at all, can I? And Daryl Young hanging on at the moment to 8th place ahead of Tom Coronel. He's got to come into the pits for the drive-through. In he comes.
I think he'll have left that as late as possible, and I'm sure the team manager would have been trying to politic with the organisers and sort something out, but usually once a decision's done, a referee's decision's final, so...
Yeah. Well, here is the battle for third then. Tarquini with the red windscreen strip on his Seat, and Javi Villa again all over the back of him as Daryl Young, ironically of course, with bumpers coming adrift and heavily marked from contact from other cars, for which there has yet been no penalty, comes through to serve his drive-through, and out also, and that's interesting, goes Robert Dahlgren's Volvo, which means that they have changed the components on that right front corner, which I'm sure are the ones that were broken, damaged or bent or whatever, and he's now going out to do the remainder of the race, last 2 or 3 laps, to make sure it is ready to hit the ground running inside the top 10 in race 2.
Yeah, they're not fighting for a championship, so you're right, they'll be looking at trying to make the most out of the next race. The Chevrolet is really, really close out there, Villa.
Muller all over the back of the BMW, and here comes Veer. He's going to try and go around the outside, 6 into 7. That is not happening any way, shape or form, but it might liven things up a little behind. You saw from the onboard of Rob Huff, he was in 2 minds as to whether to try and go alongside Ivan Muller. I don't actually think he would have done, but he would have shown the nose. And look at this, this is really quite quick, quite tight as well, and a lot of long hang-on corners, even though they get through them pretty quickly. That's really hard work for the tyres. This sequence here, pretty quick and pretty relentless on the tyre, you know, from one tyre to the other, you know, no hint of a straight there. It's constantly loading up one side and then the other on the front wheel drive cars, and that's, you know, that and the last corner really quite punishing.
Yeah, you can see that's where Villa kind of pulls a little gap, and like you say before, on the start-finish straight, that's exactly where he pulls the gap, and I think the front-wheel drive Chevrolets are spending the rest of the lap catching up.
So completing lap 9, Aluminium, the poleman, still leads from Norbert Mikulis in 2nd place. Winner last year in Macau, of course, Norbert. And in 2nd position here at his home track in Hungary. There was a replacement for the race in Marrakesh that didn't happen. And is that Coronel pulling out on the... Yes, it is. Coronel is slowing. I'm not sure what's happened to Tom Coronel's car. May possibly be a legacy of contact earlier on. He may have found that the temperature suddenly started skyrocketing, but he looks like he's dropped out of the frame. For BMW then, Javi Villa is still there. Oh dear, look, ironically, there's is that Daryl or is that...
It might be.
No, I think that is Daryl. Oh no, it's Taniguchi, I think you're right. Yukinori Taniguchi in the other Bamboo Engineering car.
Interesting, on the last lap, Aluminium and Norbert Mikulis were doing 58.9s and 58.7s respectively, where the rest of the grid are in the 2-minute 01s now, so you can see that the front two are obviously still pushing each other.
Yeah, and Mikulis took another 1/4 of a second out of Menu's lead last time round, so it's back down to just a second even. And here comes Villa again. Every lap he's going further and further around the outside, but he needs to be in front of him off corner 5 because he's not going to make a way through there. But look at Muller looking for a chance to get through, and this, I'm afraid, is pretty much a one-line bit of racetrack, although Rob Huff tries to show that it's not, because Ivan bounced across the curbs from the inside of that corner last lap, and I think Rob was trying to set him up to do the same, drift out wide and then cut inside him. Coronel's parked it, and I do think that was probably damage from the first corner and from those bumps with Daryl Young that's put him out. He's at turn 2. No yellow flags being shown, so still an overtaking opportunity that you start on the straight. If you can run around the outside of 1 to 2, then you might have a chance to carry it. The crowd are again on their feet, holding up all their posters, waving their flags, air horns, shouts and cheers as Mikulis crosses the line. 10 laps into this 12 lapper, he's in 2nd place.
and he's actually gone quite a bit faster than Alemanno on that last lap as well, so I don't know if the crowd are finding out before we are. Maybe they can see it visually, but yeah, it certainly seems to be closing up with him.
I tell you what, the battle for third has got their attention as well. Tarquini with Veer and Muller and Huff, and Javi Veer is going to try every inch of the way. Now he has to defend against Muller. That compromises his entry into corner one. Muller's got plenty of grip in that Chevy chassis still. Looks like he's starting to think that he can have the best of the BMW, but of course he's got to watch the mirrors, because if he makes a miscued move or goes offline to try and make a pass and doesn't get through, he'll find his teammates alongside him looking for a place as well. Huff is just as happy to pass Muller as the other two cars in front of him.
Ivan can't afford to try and make a move which doesn't come off. That's the problem. If he has to back out of it because Veer turns in or something, then that means Rob's going to pass him.
Yeah, and again, you know, you might say, well, it's only 5th and 6th. It is only 5th and 6th, but again, you don't want to lose the championship by a point or two that you might have given away by being unnecessarily aggressive here. I mean, we want the drivers to race hard. We want the stewards to let them race hard. And this is a good, you know, not a lot of overtaking in this battle, but Tarquini's did a stunning job to hold up three cars that are patently much quicker. They were much quicker in clear air in qualifying. They are patently much quicker. And again, look at the gap. Lap 8, 1.2 seconds. It's down now to 8/10. So he's taken nearly a quarter second out of Alemanno in the last two laps, but is Menu just allowing him to come a little closer? I think the Swiss driver has got things under control, and Tarquini at the moment, well, it's like batting against a spin bowler. He's just blocking, keeping his line and length and just letting the guys behind fight themselves.
It's very similar to Zolder when we saw him in that race, and he was fending off faster cars, and he pretty much held on. Obviously the experience sort of won out at the end of the day, and I guess that's what we're seeing with these experienced guys, the likes of Gabriele Tarquini and Alemanno. They're kind of pacing the race at how fast they want to go.
Oh, look at Veer though, he's not being closer than this. He's going to have a lunge into the first corner. Last lap lunge coming up, down into corner one. Javi Veer pulls out in the BMW. He's there, he's still there. Tarquini closes the door. Too late. He was alongside Gabriele. Too late to shut the door. You need to cut in when there's no overlap, otherwise that is having an accident. Tarquini drifts out wide. Muller's coming around the outside. Gabriele's online and not going to let him through, and has Veer got a puncture? Well, Veer's in third at the moment, and he's almost gone off. I think maybe just some dirt on the track or some dirt on the tyres. Here comes Tarquini. Look at the run he's got coming downhill. He's looking at the inside into corner 5. Veer's got drivers in both mirrors. More contact. Veer's got the line. Tarquini's got to shut the door into 4. Veer's gone off wide, and he's still got the lunge into 5. Oh, locks up, drifts out wide.
On the inside of
and Huff picks up 1-2 places, and Veer's still in third. Half a lap left. Menu and Mikulic are they're nearly 14 seconds in front of this battle, and Veer in third place gets into the chicane first. I imagine the stewards will want to look at a lot of people. Car 4 under investigation for the last lap. That's Alexei Dudicalo. So that may have been for the incident actually with Robert Dahlgren, or something else we haven't seen while we've been watching the front. Still the battle for third, still the same 4 cars, but it's now Javi Veer from Rob Huff, Ivan Muller, Gabriele Tarquini in danger, perhaps being caught by Thiago Montero. Crowd are on their feet. That means that the lead battle is coming through the final corner, and waiting for them, here is Alemanno. He is going to win this race, but Norbert Mikulic is going to be on the podium in Hungary in second place. Gabriele Tarquini is not going to be on the podium. Who is? Javi Veer holds the inside line. Muller's looking at Huff for 4th, but it's going to be Veer in 3rd place, Huff in 4th, Muller in 5th. Before they come across the line, it's all settled. And then Tarquini and Montero in 6th and 7th. Well, it took a long time coming, but it was always coming that there would be an attempt by Veer, a really solid attempt to get by into 3rd, and he had to be really solid, didn't he? That was a fantastic last lap in that battle.
Yeah, he sort of slipstreamed Tarquini down at the first corner, and to be fair, it looked like a pretty good move, and for me, Gabriele looked like he turned in on him a little bit late. Tried, like you said, maybe he didn't see him coming, maybe perhaps he didn't expect the move to come, and just turned in, and it caused the contact, which ended his second place.
Well, I think Gabrielli gave it everything he could on the brakes. I just think the BMW had a little more grip under braking, and Gabrielli couldn't stop him creeping up the inside, and was trying to make the corner, trying to get the door shut, but you know, he wasn't trying to have Veer off in any way. He was just trying to hold his position. This is the view. Veer's down the inside. There is an overlap. Veer's on the inside.
I think they're chanting Norby.
Listen to the crowd, they are chanting Norby, Norby, Norby. Well, and what a last lap it was. Veer was up and down, he almost lost it again. Tarquini off at that stage after again trying to retake that third place. And from Ivan Muller's view, Rob Huff coming through here on the inside. Look at that, little bink, but he got through without too much drama. Alemeniu is the winner of the race, but the crowd will be rapturous in receiving Norbert Michelis into second. Listen to this. Norbert Michelis is now getting an inkling of what it's like to be Michael Schumacher in Germany, isn't he?
Yeah, that must feel amazing with all these people. You can hear them chanting Norby again.
John Waterman congratulating our race winner, Alemeniu. Probably can barely hear themselves. The air horns and the crowd. And Michelis, look how much more relaxed he looks now. And he's going to go out and embrace family and friends and his crew. And if well, we saw the goosebumps earlier on, and if there's not tears now in that Zengo crew, then they made the tougher stuff than me. And waving the Hungarian flag, that's all the crowd can see of him over here on the far side of the track. The giant jumbo vision screen that they're watching as well will show them these pictures. But yeah, boy, when he comes out on the podium.
2 independents in the top 3 as well. That's pretty impressive. I don't know if that's happened very often before, but
not an awful lot. Not an awful lot. And you know, when you've got some very, very good drivers and very, very good teams, it is a difficult thing to pull off as an independent. And you know, it is a tiny single car operation. It's a Hungarian team, Hungarian driver, and you know, all right, they've got a factory-built BMW, but you've got to be able to. You could give one to me, I wouldn't know what to do with it in, you know, years of trying. Well, let's get down to the pit lane area then and catch up with our race winner.
Menu lights to flag. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. You know, I mean, I knew going into the race that I had a good chance to win the race if I could lead out of the first 2 corners, let's say, and it's what happened. I had a big gap, and then I kind of like paced myself, but Michelis was very quick. He was catching me, but then I guess maybe he asked too much from his tires, because midway through he started to drop off, so I slowed down a little bit, which was good for me too. And yeah, we won. I mean, it's great.
Thank you.
Well, he really was pushing very hard indeed, wasn't he? And to some extent, towards the end, you got to think, you know, he was getting quicker and quicker still, almost with every lap, Norbert Michelis, but it was going to take something really enormous to try and overtake Menu. And we know he had a bit of a question mark over the car before the start of the race.
What can I say? Fantastic effort from you. And look at this crowd. They're so happy for you.
Yeah, they are just unbelievable, because every time I crossed the straight line, I was seeing them on my left. So it was, from inside the car, it was absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Well, we might have to catch up. Maybe Louise can ask him in the interviews what the query over the car was. We're hearing from the pit lane that the team were worried a little about the car on the grid. In the end, no major dramas, didn't expire on him. So let's find out maybe what was going on there, and maybe that was in his mind somewhere. Oh, I saw that wig earlier on, and I thought, I wonder why that guy has got a curly blonde wig. He's going to be it wasn't, it was for one of the girls in the car parade. So yeah, maybe there was a little question mark there as to, you know, the car was going to be all there under him, but certainly, you know, he had a really tough race for second place, and Javi Veer worked really hard to earn that third position. I have to say, you know, as a spectator, I thought that there was nothing really that deserved a major penalty in that third place battle. I don't know what, as a driver, you would have seen there.
No, I think it was just all a series of events which all came about because of racing incidents, and nobody did anything malicious. I think it was just, like I said, a series of events. And if you look at Gabriele, he came out 11th, so he was sixth.
Yeah.
So he was a big loser in there, which was pretty unfortunate for him with less than a full lap to go.
Well, Javi Villa, his last lap was a 2-minute 3-second lap. And they were all, as you said earlier, in the 2 minutes, whereas the leaders are in 1:58, 1:59. So there was a big performance deficit for Tarquini, and he did really well to hang on for 11 of those 12.